and sharing. All right, so this is where you'll want to come if you're thinking about the process of running for a chapter or group seat. And you can navigate to this. The easiest way is to just go to the Sierra Club San Francisco Bay website, and then you'll see this big blue box here. And if you have questions during this, feel free to put those questions into the chat. And Scott will be sort of looking through those, and he can pop in with questions as we go. So this gives a lot of nice background of this, and it also gives a little bit of background on the nominations committee. You've just heard from all of us. Really, our role in this process is to make sure that both the nominating process and the election itself is done in a way that is clear, that we're following the chapter rules, the national rules, and that we're running a really well managed election process. So we have all sort of devoted a lot of our volunteer time to making that happen over the last few months and the next 4 months. There is a little video here that Chance and I put together last month that is fantastic if you haven't already seen it. But what I'm doing right now is a bit of a short version of that, so you don't need to look at it. I think most of you might know or should know there are 2 levels for executive committee. There's the chapter executive committee, and that is, if it's the chapter level, it is kind of it's the highest elected position for the chapter. And there are elections every year for that. There are also group executive committees. There are 8 regional groups that cover the San Francisco Bay chapter. And you can find those group divisions. It's linked here on the website. I'll go to it in a minute. If you're new to a leadership position within the Sierra Club, starting at that group executive committee level is a really good place to start, because it's where you're most likely to bring to bear any local efforts that you're already working on, any local connections you have, any local passions or projects you have. Those are most likely to be expressed at that group ExComm level. And then it gives you great experience to potentially in the future move up to a chapter ExComm seat. But we'll probably spend most of our time today talking about group ExComm as a outlet. The only requirement for running for a position is that you are a member, an active member of the Sierra Club. Active meaning having a membership that is effective as of August 4th. So that date has passed for this election cycle. There's a way that you can check to make sure that you are an active member by either calling the chapter or by emailing membership services. Typically calling the chapter is going to get you an answer faster. And if you're unsure of what group you're part of, there is a handy map here. Although I don't know, Scott, are you able to see this map? Did it show up too? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you
okay,
should
cool.
Browser, you're good.
Perfect. So this shows these are the rough geographic boundaries of the eight groups, but you can drill in and find out exactly which one you're part of if you're unsure. And so as long as you're an active member, and as long as this is something that seems appealing to you, that next step would be to actually complete your candidate questionnaire. And I'm going to open this up. We won't go through it line by line by any means, but I do think it's important for folks just to understand what we are looking for. And sometimes it shows up a little bit funky. Scott, I'm going to ask again, can you see this part of my screen? Or is it still showing the website?
When you say this part,
you see the actual application?
No, I think you're sharing just your Chrome browser.
Okay, one sec. Let me do a new share here.
No problem.
Here we go. Okay.
And now we can see the nomination packet for executive committee.
Perfect. So the one I showed is this will be for group. And what this is showing is sort of some of the upfront information, how to submit it when it's completed. New this year, by the way, accepting that applications through a tiny URL, like a Google form, instead of having to do it to an email address if you've applied before. I'll take you through real briefly what that upload process is, but it's easier than in the past. Send a nice schedule, timeline, and then these are the questions that really give us a sense of you as a candidate. And this is where you would be spending a little bit of time explaining your background, your experience, and what draws you to a leadership position. And it gives you a chance to introduce yourself to us, the nominations committee. So I won't go through this entirely, but I think this is the kind of thing that if you wait till the last minute, you might find that it's a bit more, you haven't given yourself enough time to really ruminate on some of those questions. So back to the schedule itself, and then we'll open it up for more questions. As I mentioned before, so the nomination period opened on July 14th. We're well into it at this point. The August 4th date was when a candidate must be registered as a Sierra Club member. And then nominations close on Tuesday, September 8th. That we will accept nominations as late as midnight, although really it's considerate to us to do it a little sooner because we'll be reading through all of them and kind of getting them organized as they come in. And then that will precede a process where we will let you know if, for whatever reason, the committee has not moved you forward for nomination. You still have, as a potential candidate, you still have an opportunity to submit, to circulate a petition and collect signatures from active Sierra Club members, and then become a candidate by petition. And that deadline is September 28th. All candidates then will need to provide statements, and we provide some additional guidance here on the website for what that looks like by October 2nd. And then the actual elections open in November and will close December 11th. There are a couple of different ways to vote. If you voted in the past, and I hope you have, there's paper ballots that come out in the Yodeler, and there's also a way to vote electronically. And then last but not least, we, every year until now, the NomCom Elections Committee has met in person at the Sierra Club to count ballots and tabulate everything, and it's open to the public, and it's a really nice opportunity to kind of come together and see democracy in action. I don't think, actually, I know for sure we will not be doing that in person this year. So TBD on how we'll be doing that, but we'll make sure that that same spirit of transparency is carried through. And then candidates will be not contacted with the ballot results on the 13th of December. I'm gonna stop sharing now just so we can see each other's faces. And I'd love to pause and just see if anyone has any questions either through chat or if they want to go off mute and ask it to us. Feel free. No questions. Does it seem, yes.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that I had to redo my membership, and is the date flexible for the August 4th? Because I think going through my records, I think I was like a few days over August 4th and renewing. So yeah, I just wanted to check that.
It's not flexible, and I'll answer this one, but then I would love others to answer questions too. It is a firm date, and that's just in an effort to be fair to all candidates. I would encourage you to give the chapter a call, and they can double check what they're seeing in the system, because it's possible that you were still active before you updated it or something. So I would give them a call and see what it's showing there. Yeah, good luck.
Sarah, Marisol has a question.
Yes, Marisol.
Hello. I was just curious. So if I live in San Ramon, do I run for the Mount Diablo or would I run for the Tri-Valley? Because I heard
If it's split down the middle, member services can also let you know, because I don't know, I haven't memorized it by city. Beth, do you know?
I think it's best to check. I think it's the Tri-Valley, but I think it's better if you just check with the office. Yeah.
I think
I think
Peggy
Peggy-
has input.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta click unmute, Peggy.
Okay, I was just gonna say I had to check on that recently, and thank you. And you actually can run for any of the groups that you wish within our chapter. But we usually people want to run where they're living, and sometimes people might want to run where they're working, somewhere where you have a commitment to that community. So it's where you are. But were you just wondering about the boundaries of the groups?
Right. I just wasn't sure because San Ramon's kind of right in that point where it cuts off between Mount Diablo and Tri-Valley, and I wasn't really sure which one I should apply for.
Okay.
But I would imagine that Tri-Valley is probably more convenient for me, just relatively speaking, because Mount Diablo really goes far out from where I am. I would be in the furthest south end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, that's true. And if we ever meet in person, Mount Diablo usually meets in Orinda, which would be quite a bit for you.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
One more question from the chat. Liat asks, what file format is best for the questionnaire?
Either Word or PDF.
And then one more question from Donna. Will we be able to send the recording to participants of this, I assume? And if so, can we send like a website link, or I don't know how we're planning on sending this recording out, but that's a question.
I think that Virginia offered to put it on our website page. I can share the link right now to our chapter elections page, just in the chat here. But I don't, and then on that page, I think by end of week, there will be a recording for this video.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, that's everything from chat.
I'm thinking we should just be clear that everybody is really clear on the dates, because they are coming up pretty soon. So everybody, and also on the process of being nominated and being a petition candidate. So maybe we want to run through that just really quickly. Maybe Sarah, you can just go through the dates a little bit, and then I'm happy to talk a little bit about the nominations and the petition. And I have the form for the petitions that I can potentially share too, because it's not right on the website right now.
That's true. Yeah, so the dates, unfortunately, that August 4th date for being a member, oh, my light just turned off, is behind us. And that truly is it's disappointing if that precludes anyone from running this year, but there is always next year. And
always next year.
There's always next year, and think about how far ahead of the game you are by thinking ahead. And then September 8th, which is a Tuesday, is at 11:59 is the nominations close deadline. So that's the deadline for returning questionnaires. And then shortly after that, we will be letting every candidate know if they've been nominated by committee. And so what that means is that we've convened as a nominations committee. We have reviewed the applications, and we've made that decision on whether each candidate is nominated or not. If for whatever reason you are not approved for nomination at that stage, you still have the option to be a candidate by petition, and that requires collecting signatures. The number of signatures it varies by group. Most groups have, I think, 15, but some of the larger groups require more signatures. And maybe, Peggy, you want to talk a little bit about what signatures mean in the era of COVID?
Yes, and I can try. Talk me through this. Well, first I'll talk about it, and then you can talk me through showing them the form. which should appear on the website actually tomorrow. So how many of you have voted in National Sierra Club elections? Yes? Yeah? Oh, a few. Okay, everybody else, be sure you vote. One of the things we're interested in is getting lots and lots of candidates, or interested people being involved. And part of that also includes people voting. In our national election, in the country, we have pathetically low voter participation. And in the Sierra Club, it's not very good either. So more participation is better. So talk it up to your friends. So it's really different for the Sierra Club from lots of other organizations. You may know that members actually elect the board. The national board is the people who make the big decisions. And then the chapter is the next level of the executive committee. Then there's also the groups. So those are the decision makers. And that's really unusual. If you think of the other kinds of organizations that you give money to that maybe call you a member, chances are you don't elect the board. A few of them you do. But this is kind of, I think this is a wonderful thing about the Sierra Club, because when it says it's grassroots, in fact, any of us, any of you can write an email to a board member at the national level, or your chapter leader or your group, whatever, and be involved. So that's a really good thing. So given that, then the organization said, okay, we want to put forward candidates who will promote the mission of the Sierra Club, will do good work, will have enough time, whatever kinds of criteria there might be. So that's why there is a nominating process. So when you put your questionnaire in, you're not yet a candidate. You're a person putting in a questionnaire, interested in being a candidate. And then the nominating committee and some of the groups, for example, San Francisco and Marin, also have their own nominating committees who are looking at people and making, looking at the questionnaires and making suggestions. Then those nominating committees then say, okay, here are the people that we think are all good. I'll just tell you right now, our perspective as a nominating committee is we aim to put forward as many people as possible, and we aim to be as open as possible and say the members of the Sierra Club can decide. So we don't aim to be picky about things. So that's for you to know. Nevertheless, sometimes there'll be somebody who, for whatever reason, the nominating committee is like, might not be experienced enough, whatever, to put forward as a nominee. And that happens at the national level, that happens at chapter or group. Everybody who's an active member can also put your name forward as a petition candidate. That means, as Sarah was saying, you gather signatures or in the past, you gathered signatures and you send them in. There's a certain number. And if you have enough supporters, then you become a candidate also. Your statement goes into the Yodeler, your statement goes on the webpage, your picture, the whole bit, you're in there. And if people want to vote for you, they can do that. Let me try share screen and I'll show you what we've just.
Peggy, I've got it. Do you want me to share it?
Yes, but does it have, did I send you the one that has the West Contra Costa 15 people on it?
I updated that.
Oh, good. Okay. Yes, good. Sarah can do this because of the COVID-19, we were like, whoa, I don't know that everybody's gonna be able to stand in the market and gather in signatures or whatever you might want to do. So this is the form that we're using. And you will see this show up on the website tomorrow at least. It's not there, I just looked right now. So you're going to check off whether you want to run for chapter or which group you're running for. And based on that decision, you're going to see how many signers, supporters you need to get. So if you're running for Diablo, you need 15. If you're running for NAC, you need 50. So this is, and then I'll give you this statement. I'll roll down here. Tells you, welcome, you can be a candidate by petition, figure all this stuff out, okay, talk to people, make sure you're a current member, make sure, most important, because we're not having signatures, right? Most important that we be able to check that all of your supporters are in fact Sierra Club active members, because that's kind of the most important thing for them. And we need to know that they live in your group, whatever, whatever you're running for. So it's the same process for this as uploading your questionnaire. So if you go down a little farther, you'll see it's the same thing. Make a document, put your name and what you're running for on it, like Delta Garcia or Chapter Lee, okay? That date is the 28th of September. Now, if you think right now that you're going to put your questionnaire in, but for whatever reason, you're like a little like, I really don't know if the nominating committee is going to nominate me, you know, whatever, you can go ahead and start filling this out right now. See if you get nominated. If you don't and you still want to run, you send it right in. In fact, I recommend that because it takes a little bit of time, paperwork. Okay, so keep on going down here. So there's your, again, your thing. Now this is exactly what you need to collect. So you need the right number of people, and here's a sample. You need the name of the person, you need a phone number, you need a membership number, but if you don't know it, it's okay. The chapter staff say they will look it up for us. They already volunteered for that, so that's not a problem. Email and a residence address of either residence or business, whatever you're doing there. And then you fill all those little things out. If you need more, because I think it only goes to 20, make more copies, you know, just copy that page and keep going. And upload it to the Google folder that we have in the same way that you would do the questionnaire.
Yep. I didn't go to that earlier. I think I will go to that for us just to take a quick look at. So this is, Peggy, do you want to talk about this, or Scott, since you created
so
this?
You'll see that on the paperwork, you'll see that URL there, and you go there with your document, and you just, Scott, actually maybe better tell us this because Scott's the one who set it up for us, and Scott will help you if you have a problem.
Yeah.
So Scott, take it away.
Sure, no, exactly what Peggy and Sarah were saying. This should be pretty straightforward. Just follow the URL, and then you should be able to click Add File. And that's going to give you a little dialog that'll let you push your documents, however you have them saved. Peggy just let us know that Word documents or PDFs are a good way to go, but you just upload those to this window, and you can drag them on there, or you can click the little thing and find them however you like to do it. And then just click Upload in the lower left there. And it won't let us do it because we haven't done it, but that's okay. Yep. And then after you're done, you'll be able to click, Sarah, if you can just X out of this little mini window here. Once you've done it, you can click that little green submit button below, and that's it. All you have to do is do that, and it puts it in a folder that we'll find it, and we'll be able to sort it from there.
Any questions on that from anybody? And like Sarah asked, as far as the September 8th deadline, we would like you so much better. That's sort of threatening, isn't it?
That's too threatening.
No,
it's
can't say that. We would so appreciate it if you didn't wait till September 7th or September 27th to get your paperwork in. That would be so nice to us, so we can read things. But we won't be prejudiced.
All right, we do have a couple questions in chat if we're ready for that. Chris Peterson asks, can the nominations committee nominate more candidates than openings on the ExComm?
Yes.
Yes.
And in fact, I encourage them to do that because more candidates means more ideas. More candidates means more interesting elections. And there is a recommendation actually from National Sierra Club that nominating committees do that so that we actually get a lot of ideas out there. And I think that is actually a good reason to put yourself in. If you have something to say, a candidate statement, you know, if you're a candidate, and even if you don't get elected, you get your words out there. You can say what you think is important for the Bay chapter of the Sierra Club or your group. And so, yeah, we hope they will find a number of people to nominate. We've never had too many.
Awesome. Next up, David Gabriel asks, how can I get in contact with my colleagues in the Marin group in these times? I assume we're talking about the pandemic. We're not meeting face-to-face anymore. How do we do that? And Mickey, I've got you in queue.
I forgot to mention I'm from Marin Group, and I'm a two-term person running for my third term. So my email is mickall1@yahoo.com. So contact me there or contact Judy Schrieben, our chair.
Thank you.
And Nikki, confirm me if this is right. The Marin Group has its own website.
Yes.
Yes, so you can also go to that
And so the
website
information's on that as well.
and meetings
as
and
I
things
know.
like that are posted. Yeah.
And we welcome you. I'd love to get to know you. And you certainly can come to our meeting on the third Wednesday if you'd like to.
Great.
But if you contact us, we can send you the information.
Do you mind repeating your email again?
It's on our website, but
Okay, got it. I'll go there.
But it just has an AT on it instead of
Great.
the @
Thank
symbol.
you.
I'm going to share another link in our chat just for anyone who's interested. There's a page on the Sierra Club San Francisco Bay website that has the information for all elected volunteers for each of the 8 groups and for the chapter ExComm. And it also includes when each group meets, how to get in touch with them, and information like that, and kind of what the key issues of each group are. So I'm going to link that to our chat as well.
Everybody's ready.
That's everything we've got in terms of questions in
Tell your
chat.
friends. If they don't want to run, they should really vote.
Yeah.
Does anyone have questions about like how they'll get their ballot? Or, I mean, that's a little bit further down the line, but I thought maybe we could speak to that if anyone is like hasn't voted before and wants to make sure they know how to do that. Would that be helpful? And actually,
Go ahead, Lucy Claire.
Well, could I turn it over to someone else actually? Because I feel like I may not be the most qualified person. It just occurred to me that it might be of interest. But I believe that the ballots are mailed out with the Yodeler.
Right.
And then you also should be able to vote online as well.
The winter edition of the Yodeler. There's a Yodeler coming out very, very soon. And it will have a variety of things in it. But the next Yodeler issue, which will be probably the end of October, because it has to be ready for the November elections starting date, will have all the candidate statements in it. And your pictures if you're a candidate. And that will come out for everybody, and you can mail that in. Or you can, yes, there's an online option that will be there. You need to know your membership number, which is going to show up on your Yodeler, so don't lose it, in order to do the electronic voting.
I don't think anyone's being shy, but I will ask a question. I'm curious if folks joined tonight with some kind of hesitation in mind as they think about running, and if we've adequately addressed those, or if there are any other questions about the process or the experience that we can help answer. One thing we don't have, it seems as though Chance wasn't able to join us tonight, and what he was going to do was just talk a little bit more about the experience of being on ExComm, but we're lucky to have a couple of current and former members on tonight, so we can ask questions. If anyone has a question about what that experience is like, I think we could probably answer that as well. So anything like, any burning question that you have this opportunity now with 16 minutes left in the meeting to kind of put out there?
Sarah, I just wanted to say also that the video has Chance talking about that also.
It does. It does.
So you can see Chance in action, even though he's a little more remote than even on Zoom.
Yep, that's true.
And we do think the video is wonderful. So if you haven't seen it, please do. And share it with your friends. I also wanted to say that even though, I mean, people need to be Sierra Club members in order to run for leadership positions. If you know people who are active and supporters of the mission that the Sierra Club is about, and maybe not members now but could be interested, bring them in. Everybody can join the Sierra Club, and so maybe if the person you think could be really good in leadership next year isn't a member right now, as we said on the website, all of the different groups have their dates of when they meet. They have a conservation committee, they have an executive committee, some of them have other other committees going on. The activities committees, whether you want climate literacy or East Bay lands or water or something like that, people are interested in that. There's very active committees that are doing all sorts of good things. So bring your friends.
That's right. That's right.
I'm happy to share some of my experiences. I started out as a Sierra Club member just in the hiking back in 1960 when I was at college at UC Davis. So I'm an old fart, excuse the language. Anyway, I did mostly the hiking. And even when I was older, I was going on trips nationally. I went all over the place. And it wasn't until I moved back home from Maryland that I really got more involved. I had gotten involved with Sierra Club. It was called Inner City Outings at the time in Maryland in 1999. And I did that for 5 years and was doing all kinds of things, taking at-risk kids out. I transferred here and went and joined San Francisco Bay Area chapter of the ICO and did that. And finally, I got sort of dragged kicking and screaming by a friend to one of the Ring Group chapter meetings. And I was kind of interested. It was interesting to see what they were talking about, the kinds of things that they were doing. And so I ran that year, and that was in 2016. Since then, I've discovered my strengths, and that's something I'd like to mention because on page 4, it talks about some of your strengths. And while I can do pretty much everything on that list, one of the things is a biologist and a teacher for many years and loving to do research. I wrote down knowledge of specific issues because I get a kick out of, frankly, enjoy discovering the arcane information. But I also have developed knowledge of community by being part of my community. I live in the houseboat community and I got to know them, but I reached out and I became a member of Friends of the Library in Marin City. And I started doing activities over there with them, and I worked with the Historical Society at Sausalito and got on paths and bikeways and trails and the Marin Ship committees when they were trying to figure out what to do. So what it did is it brought all these things together so that I could put down things that, oh, and I used to teach computers when I was a teacher as well, back in the old Mac 2Es, but I stuck with that. So think about those kinds of strengths as you put your application down and what really is important to you. And be sure to include all the things that you really care about in your application, because that will help the members of your group that you would want to join. It will help them have a clue about who you are. And also center your mind into what interests you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mickey.
And go for it. I have fun.
Thank you, Mickey.
Well, I don't know if we have any funny stories to tell, but maybe we, if there's no other questions, I don't know, Peggy, what do you think? What do you think, Beth?
I think we want to make sure that we let people know that they can contact us, just if you can go to that website or you can call the chapter office. The chapter office will put you in contact with one of us. If you have any questions, let us know. If you have problems with uploading your documents to the Google Drive, Scott, as you've already seen, is very nice and helpful in that way. So, anything that we can do to help you in this process, we're here to do.
And we have
we're glad that you came to our Zoom open house. Yes,
we really are. We're sorry we can't serve you drinks or anything. We have an email address as well that goes to all of us. I'll put that in the chat too. It's clc@sfbaysc.org. No, it's not that. It's, what is it? It's
elections, I think.
Elections. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm on too many of them. SF. Yes. So that's where that'll go to all of us, and we are pretty responsive on email. David,
Thank you,
with your
David.
thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
All
think,
right, yeah.
yeah.
I think we can wrap it up then if there's no other questions or comments. Thank you all for coming out here tonight.
Mary,
And do you
have
can,
a question?
I just wanted to ask if you would kindly repeat that email again. I know there was a correction and I think I botched it on my end.
I botched it on my end. Let me put it in the chat right now. It's elections@sfbaysc.org.
Elections at SF Bay.
Elections
sfbaysc.org. Perfect. Thank you so much.
And it's in the chat if people can access the chat as well if you need to review.
Yeah. Well, we hope that you are inspired to think about running for a position, and that we've answered any questions you might have had and sort of helped with the process. And we look forward to getting to know many of you.
all right. Thank you again, everyone,
Thank you.
for coming
Likewise.
out.
Thanks for
Thanks,
coming.
everybody.
All
Have a
right.
good rest of your night. Bye.